Hi guys, it's Ben Heath, and in this video I'm going to show you how to create a Google Ads campaign from scratch. I'm going to walk you through the entire process, I'm going to go through each step. So if you're a Google Ads beginner and you have not run a Google Ads campaign before, I think you're going to find this very, very helpful. Likewise, if you run Google Ad campaigns before, but perhaps they haven't delivered the results that you wanted, maybe you thought that some of the elements weren't quite right, you can go through this video and make sure that you've got each individual element set up correctly. So I am in an example Google Ad account and I'll walk you through the process. If you're thinking, well, hang on, how do I set up a Google Ad account? How do I get to this page that we're looking at right now? I've got another video for that. So in the video description below, there will be a link to another video that shows you exactly how to set up a Google Ads account if you haven't already got one set up. That's obviously going to be the first step, and I've covered that there. So go ahead and watch that, and then you can go back to this video where we walk you through the process. Okay, so I'm in, as I said, an example Google Ads account. I'm just in the overview here, and there's nothing going on here because this is an example Google Ads account. And what I want you to do is go ahead and click on this plus new campaign, and I'm going to go ahead and select new campaign. Now, the very first thing we need to do is choose a campaign objective. So we could go with a number of the different options. Sales leads being right at the front. That's most likely what it is that you're looking for with your Google advertising efforts. You probably want to either sell product via your website or generate leads. You can go with other things like website traffic, and there are a number of different options depending on what it is that you're looking to do. But the majority of businesses are going to want to select one of these two options, whichever one is most appropriate for whatever it is that you're doing. I'm going to go ahead and select leads. If I was advertising my business, a digital marketing agency, we offer advertising services, then we would be selecting leads as the example to go through. Now, once you select your campaign objective, you'll see this window pop up talking about conversion goals. It's very important that if we're running a leads or even a sales campaign, that we're able to show Google what those actions actually look like so that our campaign can be optimized around those actions and get us as many leads or as many sales as possible. So once we go ahead and select leads in this case, we've had these conversion goals be automatically imported. We've got book appointments. So that's an action that will take place on our website. You can see here conversion source is website, and we've also got contact, which is a call from the ads. You can put your phone number in the ads and get a call directly that way. And with these two actions set up, when we do generate leads via this Google Ads campaign, that will be registered within our Google Ad account. That can help us optimize the campaign. It can help Google optimize the campaign with their AI machine learning process. By the way, if you see any errors like this pop up, always a good idea to hover over them. This is the error here that we can see is one inactive or unverified conversion action from website for book appointment goal. And that's only popping up because, as I said, this is an example ad account. We don't actually run campaigns through it, but you always want to take a look at those and see what the potential issue is. Now, in order to set up these conversion goals, that's something that I covered in that video that I just mentioned, the one where we set up the Google Ad account in the first place. So if you've got a Google Ad account, but you don't have these conversion goals set up and they're not automatically being brought through, then go ahead and check out that video and go through that section in it where I show you how to set up those conversion goals. Get that all set up properly, very, very important. And then you can come back here. I don't want to go over the same ground there as I did before. Okay, so once we've got those, we're absolutely happy for those to be what we're optimizing for in the campaign. And let's go ahead and click continue. Now we need to select a campaign type. So the sort of first option and the most common one for Google advertisers to start with, and the one that I would recommend you start with, is a search campaign. Now, a search campaign is exactly the sort of thing that you would expect. It's where someone is searching within Google for things that are closely related to your business, to your products or services, and your ads pop up. We all spend time Googling things, and we're all familiar with seeing ads pop up for products or services that are related to the things that we have Googled, and that's a search campaign. That's what we're going to go with. But I want to quickly touch on some of the other options. You've also got Performance Max campaigns as the second option, but I'm going to quickly explain the others and then come back to Performance Max, and you'll see why in a second. Display campaigns is effectively banner advertising. If you're on a website, you see ads, embedded within the website, sometimes even pop-up style. Often they will be Google Ad display campaigns, and those ads can be demonstrated across tons of different websites, even in slightly other locations as well. You can see some of the description here. Shopping, again, I'm sure you've seen these ads. You may not be familiar or realize that this is a Google shopping campaign, but when people are searching for specific products, you've probably done that and you've seen ads for that product or similar products pop up at the top of Google. That's a Google shopping campaign. We've got video. You can advertise on YouTube. You can either use it to grow a YouTube channel or just advertise your products or services to reach people on YouTube and get them to convert via your website. something a lot of people do. And then you've also got discovery, which is a little bit of a catch-all for other things that Google can put ads in, basically, things like Gmail and stuff like that. Now, the reason why I parked Performance Max and wanted to come back to it is Performance Max combines all of these various elements into one campaign. Not something I'd recommend that absolute beginners start with. You probably want to get started with a search campaign, build up your experience a little bit, and then you can go ahead and implement or at least test a Performance Max campaign. And I've got a full tutorial on Performance Max campaigns as well. So again, you'll find a link to that in the video description below. If you're interested in finding out more about these, as opposed to creating separate campaigns, they can be very effective. You can go ahead and check that out. They're pretty cool, relatively new Google advertising feature. They've been around for a little while, but newer than the other options and can perform very, very well. But as I said, we're going to go with search, where most advertisers will start, and where I'd recommend you start as a relatively new Google advertiser. So select the ways you'd like to reach your goal. How are we going to generate these leads that we're after? Well, the top option we're going to go with is website visits. Fairly self-explanatory. You may have a different option here. You may want people to physically visit your shop or call directly from the ad, in which case you can select a different option. Once you put in select website visits as I have, you then need to go ahead and enter in your URL. So I'm just going to put my agency's URL in there, and that's actually going to draw information through later on in our campaign, which can make things a little bit quicker and a little bit easier. Then we need to give this campaign a name. So I'm just going to call this example leads Google campaign. And then we're going to go ahead and click continue. Next, we get into the bidding section. So the first thing to select when you're in bidding is what you want this campaign to optimize for. So the default here is conversions. That's what's recommended. So what that means is that we covered conversion goal briefly in the previous section. And when those actions happen, so for example, with our business, when someone books an appointment, then that's going to be registered within the Google Ad account. If we're optimizing for conversions, then Google is going to try and get us as many of those actions as possible, which is a great thing and definitely something that we want. If you go ahead, just to quickly explain, if conversion value, the way that differs is if, for example, we had assigned a different value to different types of leads. Let's say we had different services and one service is worth twice as much to our business as another service when a prospect inquires into that service. We could assign a monetary value to each one of those. And if we had, then we could select conversion value. And not only will Google try and get you as many conversions as possible, but they will also lean more towards the higher value conversion. So that service that's worth more to us, they'll try and get us more of those leads if we go with that bidding option. It's generally recommended that new Google Ad accounts where you haven't generated many conversions, Google doesn't really know what a conversions is, optimize for clicks. That's typically what I have recommended. Google often doesn't want you to do that. They want you to go ahead with conversions. You can go with conversions straight away. Personally, I would go with clicks to start with. And once you've had a campaign running for a few weeks, you've started generating some conversions, then you can always go ahead and switch to conversions or create a new campaign with the same settings and go with conversions. I think most people are going to get started with clicks. Therefore, I'm going to go through this process with that selected, but I just wanted to give you the various options. It's not a terrible option to go with conversions or clicks either way, but that's the sort of logic and the theory behind it. We tend to go with clicks and then switch, but you can go straight with conversions if you want. Then I'm going to go ahead and click next. Now, one thing that Google will do, even with a search campaign, is they will default to putting your ads on the search network and on the display network, and that's not something you want to do. So the first thing we've got here is networks. I'm going to click on View Network Settings. We're going to leave the search network, and search partners is fine as well, but we're going to deselect the display network. I'd rather you created a separate display campaign or took advantage of display through the Performance Max setup than just add this on, because the ads aren't going to look right. There are various issues. We're going to go ahead and deselect that and apply. And as I said, if you're relatively new to Google advertising, you want to very much focus on a smaller aspect of Google Ads, because Google Ads in general, when we went through some of the different campaign types, is an enormous topic. If you can focus on something a little bit smaller, something that is likely to take up a lot of your Google advertising anyway in the search network, it's going to be a really important area, then just focus on that. You can move on to other stuff later down the line. Then we get into locations. No need to overthink this. Where do you sell your products and services? So here we've got all countries and territories. Not that many businesses are going to want to select that option. For example, as a marketing agency, we could just select the UK. we could also, we work with clients abroad as well. So we could have the UK, we could also add in the United States as a country where we get a lot of our clients from. So we could add in that country, we could add in other countries. You can also go ahead and select advanced search. And here we can get more specific. So if I just delete the US out, if we're a local business and we wanted to target a specific town, for example, or city, I live in Cheltenham in the UK, which is a town, and I could just select that, and there we go. I've just got that city and the people in there. I could switch from location to radius targeting. So instead of just wanting to target this town, perhaps I'm willing to travel a little bit outside of the town. I can switch from location to radius. So I can re-enter Cheltenham in here, for example, as a town. I can select target, and we've got Cheltenham plus 10-mile radius, so 10 miles around, and we can go ahead and enter in that location. So as I said, don't overthink this. If you do offer your products or services to the whole country or multiple countries, you can add those in. Don't artificially constrain your target area. Don't think, well, most of our clients come from, one state in the US or a specific city. You can expand it out. Google's going to be able to work that out if that happens. You just want to give them some direction. So just go with wherever you advertise, wherever you offer and can deliver your products and services. I'm going to delete that out and just go with United Kingdom for demonstration purposes. Then we get into languages. So this is fairly self-explanatory. I'm just going to go ahead and select English, but if it was appropriate for you, depending on your location, to add in other languages, absolutely go ahead and add that in there. Then we get into audience segments. Now, this is not something that you need to worry about yet. This is sort of a more advanced Google advertising technique. There's all sorts of things you can do here. With the search network, this is less important because we're primarily going to be targeting based on keywords. We're going to have our ads pop up when people search for things that are closely related to what we offer. So this is far less important. But I've got videos on other targeting information and things like that. So we're going to ignore audience segments for now. Just wanted to quickly highlight and explain. Going to quickly click on more settings because there are some interesting things in here that I think you may not want to ignore. First thing is ad rotation. This is how the ads are going to be optimized. Do you want ads to just be rotated indefinitely? So you could do, for example, a fair split test. You could have a certain amount spent on one ad, a certain amount spent on the other ad, have that be equal, and then you can work out the best results. Or you can optimize for the best performing ads. So Google will put more budget into your better performing ads. To me, this option makes the most sense, and that's what I'd recommend you go with. The default is fine there. Click on more settings again. We've got start and end dates. So the start date will just be whenever you're, setting up the campaign, as this is, but you can select an end date if you want. If you want to make sure, this campaign isn't going to go past a certain amount of time. I would like to think that you're not just going to set up a Google ad campaign and then forget about it and have it turned off automatically. I'd like to think that you'd be logging back into your account and checking things and making sure things are done, are going okay, and making adjustments. So personally, I don't often set end dates, but you absolutely can. Ad schedule, which is a really interesting one. This applies to quite a lot of businesses. If you're B2B, for example, you may want to select in all days, just Mondays to Fridays, and you may want to just go with certain times, let's say the working day, 9 to 5, something like that. You may just want to advertise on weekends. If you're the opposite, you're very much a business that people use on the weekends. And so you can really think about, when are people going to be interested in your products and services? Are they going to be buying them at certain times of the day, certain days of the week? And you can go ahead and pop in a schedule if you would like. We're not going to add one in because that wouldn't really apply to our business. Even though we're B2B, we could have leads generated all throughout the day, night, weekends, particularly for advertising across multiple time zones like we would be. And we'll just get in touch with them the next chance we get on a working day. And then campaign URL options, again, not something you need to worry about as a Google advertising beginner. This is where you can add in extra tracking stuff, UTM parameters, things like that. Don't worry about that for now. Then we're going to go ahead and click next. Now we get into the keywords and ads section. So as I already said, we want our ads to appear on Google when people are searching for things that are closely related to our products and services. If we take my business as an example, we are a digital marketing agency. So therefore, we're going to want to target keywords that are related to that. So what Google has done here is they've gone and grabbed a load of keywords directly from our website, and they've just gone ahead and popped them in here. So they've put in things like advertising agency, advertising company, advertising services, all that sort of stuff. What Google does is it adds in all these keywords as broad match. So if we look at this little section down here, we've got keyword equals broad match. Now, there's a problem with that. And what the problem is that when you use broad match keywords, you are going to get searches that are not necessarily that closely related to the keyword that's being used. So I'll give you an example. Let's say where you've got advertising agency in here as a keyword and it's broad match. That means our ads will show up for advertising agency, also advertising agency UK, also top 10 advertising agencies, also how to start an advertising agency, also what salary do you earn working for advertising agencies, also how to get a job at an advertising agency. So you can see how there's a lot of those keywords that I just ran through. You would not want your ads to appear. I don't want my ads to appear for someone that's looking for a job at an advertising agency, unless I'm specifically, advertising to recruit new people. But that's what we're doing here. We're advertising our services. That's going to be a waste of money. I don't want my ads to appear for someone who's looking to start an advertising agency or someone who's looking for, top 10 advertising agencies, unless you happen to be on a list. It's not the sort of thing we want to advertise. We want to advertise people that are looking to hire advertising agencies. So I'd strongly recommend, particularly if you're a Google advertising beginner, that you do not use broad match keywords. So you absolutely want to go and add in keywords that have a different keyword match type. So we can see there are two examples given down below. We've got phrase match. So that's where you put brackets around. So let's say we popped in brackets on this advertising agency. Now what this means is the search term has to include the words advertising agency, but they can also include some other stuff. So now our ad could show up for a search like advertising agency UK, best advertising agency near me. It needs to have advertising agency in there. Now, unfortunately, with phrase match, you could still get things like how to start an advertising agency, or how to make money with advertising agency, or how to get a job at an advertising agency, things that we don't want. So with a term like advertising agency that's quite all-encompassing, we would want to go with something like exact match for our keyword match type. Here we can see here you've got exact match, and that's what it sounds like. Basically, someone has to search for the exact words advertising agency and nothing else, or close to. Google sort of fudges the lines on that a little bit and adds in a few extra things, but it's close to. Only people that search for that will actually show up. So for things like advertising agency or advertising services, we absolutely want to go ahead and put those in as exact match. With some options, we can get away with phrase match. For example, if someone's searching for something a bit more specific, like Facebook advertising services, yes, we could get some searches using phrase match, like how to sell Facebook advertising services, but it's less likely when people start to get more specific with keywords. You can go with broader keyword match type options. So we might use phrase match with that sort of option. We could probably do the same with something like advertising agency services, although we'd probably lean a little bit more towards going exact match in this example, because again, it's just a little bit broader in terms of our overall topic. So I've got another video about how to find keywords that can work great for your business. If you want more information on that, then go ahead and check that out. Again, a link will be in the video description below. What I recommend you do is take some of these options, assuming they are relevant to your services. Go with 5 or 6 of the more specific options. Use only exact or phrase match for now, and that will get you started. And you can come in and add other keywords and put in more ad groups and do more research and improve this. But I want you to get going and get momentum to begin with. So for example, let's narrow this down to just 6 options. We've got advertising agency, advertising services. We could have, no, let's get rid of those. Let's go in and add Facebook advertising services. We've got advertising marketing services, advertising agency services, sort of one we'd put in as exact match. And then let's take another one of these. You can see Facebook's given us quite a lot. I'm just trying to find one that would be a good option for another phrase match. You know what? Let's just delete those up to here and go with Google advertising services. Okay, we can get started with something like that, and don't overthink it. Don't think this has to be perfect. This is about getting started, and when you're ready, it could be now. If you feel ready, go ahead and watch that tutorial of mine on the keywords, how to find great keywords, how to make them work for your business. Remember that the most important thing here is to have your ads only being shown to people that are searching for things that are highly relevant to what you offer. If you don't, you'll end up wasting money. Google sort of pushes you towards getting as many impressions and as many clicks as possible, because that way you spend more with them, but that's not necessarily the best thing for your business. You only want people that are highly relevant. So make sure it's nice and specific to start with, okay? Then we scroll down here to the ad section. Now, what Google has put in front of us is what's called a responsive search ad. That means that we can create a number of different headline options, a number of different description options, and they will all sort of be combined, and Google will work out the best combinations. So what we want to do here is simply go ahead and fill out these ads and do so in a way that we can sell our product or service. So we've got some things that have been brought through from our website, just like what's happened with the keywords. Often they're pretty useless. So I would go ahead and get rid of this, and we could have something like Google Ads Agency, right, in here as one of the headlines. Because remember, there's 3 are going to be displayed, so it's going to be put together. If I delete these out, we can see this preview on the right-hand side. We could have something like generate more conversions or decrease your costs. And you can go ahead and fill out the options here, include benefits associated with your product or service. Why do people want to take action here? If you've got any stats, information, there's all sorts of things you can add in here. Again, I've got another video in the video description below that shows you exactly how to write headlines for your Google Ads and exactly what to include here and how to get the best results. So get started with something quite simple like what I've just gone with. You can add in a whole bunch more options. It's absolutely fine. And then go ahead and check out that video and come back in and add in the headlines and have a think about it and work out the best possible options. And if you've got any stats like, you know, average 30% improvement, something like that as an example, you could look to add in. Be aware that you've got a 30-character limit on headlines, so you won't be able to overshoot that. Google won't let you, but there we go. Okay. Then we get down into the description section. Now here, Google will usually drag stuff through the website. It hasn't here, which is interesting. So we could include something like schedule a call to find out how we can help you today. Okay, something call to action based like that. Obviously, you can include multiple descriptions. 2 are required, but you can go ahead and add in up to 4. And again, Google will cycle through the various options. And in that video I talked about with the headlines, there's also information on how to set up descriptions. So you can go through and find out more information. I'm sort of creating this on the fly and not taking forever. Otherwise, this would be a 3-hour video. But you can get the sort of thing that we talked about. So schedule a call to find out how we can help you today. We could also include other information like take a look at our fantastic track record, case studies, something like that, you know, showing them that there's case studies on the website and they can go ahead and take a look. As I said, I'm sort of thinking about this on the fly. You can write better stuff, but this is a good example, or check out that other video for better, more specific examples. Okay, but that's the basic parts of our ad setup. If we scroll up, we'll see it here. We've got our headlines, we've got our description, and now we get into Google Ad extensions, or what used to be called extension is now called Google Ad Assets. So we've got things like site links, call outs are the 2 obvious ones that have been brought up. There are other options here. I'm going to quickly show you how to set these up. So if we go ahead and click on site links, and then what we can do, so just to quickly explain what site links are, if someone clicks on a site link, they will automatically be taken through to that place within your website. So you can see with the preview, this is on mobile. If I scroll over, you'll see what it looks like on desktop. You've got these site links here. We've got our headlines and our description, but if we were to say, wanted to send people through to our about page, then we could go ahead and put that in. And then we obviously need to put in the relevant URL. You can add a description if you want, that's optional. So if someone wants to check out more information about our company, they can just click directly on about and come through. We could have our case studies page, just like what I talked about, right? So we could put in case studies in here. And again, we would need to make sure that we had the right URL in and people were being taken through to the right location. And again, we can add a description. You can add in a lot more site links, and this will really depend on your business, okay? So where is it that you're wanting to send people? Do they want to go directly through to a product page? Do they want to go through to a reviews page? Do they want to go through to a contact page? Depends what you're advertising, what you're looking to sell. If I had an error pop here, remember, always grab the error. Oh, and it says HTTPS. It's because I've just typed it in as opposed to grabbing the link. You can grab the link and put it in, and it'll put that in just fine. So I'm going to go ahead and click save. And don't worry about this other stuff. I've got a separate video about site link extensions where I go into a lot more detail. So again, link will be in the description and you can go ahead and check that out. I'm just going to go ahead and save this and close that down for now. So we've got some site links in there, and we can do the same with call out. So here we will be looking to emphasize the benefits associated with our service, our marketing agency service. And this is just like little bits of information that we could add in here. So we could have something like outstanding service, an agency that cares, 30% improvement in results. That's a little bit too long. I think what did I have before? Average 30% improvement, that sort of thing. Again, if you want more information about call out extensions, I know I sound like a broken record, there is a link in the video description where you can go ahead and check out a whole video dedicated specifically to call out extensions. So there's lots of other resources if you want to dig deeper into any element. The more you can, the more you're likely to improve your results. Again, ignore the advanced options for now. Go ahead and click save, and we've just popped in a couple of call out extensions, which is great. There are other assets, things like price extensions and structure-specific extensions. I have videos for those you can find on my channel. I would recommend you go through and add those all in. Do you need to do it with the first Google ad campaign you create? No. Should you do it at some point? Yes, is basically how I would go about thinking about this. But that is now the ad section. If we go ahead and scroll all the way down to the bottom, I'm going to go ahead and click next, because we're going to go through and over to budget. So now that we're in the budget section, we need to work out what we're going to spend as a daily budget. Now, interestingly, Google will give you recommendations around how much is a recommended budget. The simple rule of thumb here is to start with something that you can afford to lose, but that is enough that you care about it, okay? So this in no way should be money that is critical to the operation of your business or even your personal finances. It's very likely that when you first launch Google Ad campaign, it won't work brilliantly round one. You may need to test different offers in your ads, different headlines, different keywords, and all that testing is going to require budget. You may not be getting great results whilst you're in that testing phase. So that should be expected. Now, of course, Google Ad campaigns can work really well from day one, but they don't always. It's something you need to be aware of. So I'd recommend you don't spend money that needs to generate a return when you're first getting started. Once you are up and running, you could always scale a budget and spend more, okay? But I would recommend that you don't spend so little that it's meaningless to you. So if you're a relatively large organization and you're spending a tiny little budget, are you going to bother to come back in and make adjustments and things like that? Probably not. There's no incentive to do so. So you want to find that sweet spot where you're not spending too much, where it's in any way going to leave you in financial difficulty if this doesn't generate results for you in the short run, but not so little that you don't care about it. I'm going to go with the recommend for now. It seems like a reasonable amount for a lot of businesses. You could obviously start smaller, you could start larger. One of the most common questions I get is what budget do I start with? And my response is, are you a one-person business that's run part-time? You should probably start really small. Are you a 300-person organization that's looking to generate an extra $30 million this quarter? Well, okay, you should probably spend a lot more. So that's something that I would mention on that. Then we go ahead and click next. And then we get through to this review page where we can quickly go through and review all the things that have been, that we've set up in this campaign. Just make sure there's a bit of a sense check that things aren't set up incorrectly before we go ahead and publish. So we've got campaign type search, objective leads. We want book appointments, maximize clicks. Remember, we can change that. We've got a little error over here where Google is saying that you should not go with maximize clicks, you should instead go with conversions. And that's good advice, but maybe not for brand new beginners and when you've got a brand new Google ad account that doesn't have much data. So you can always look to change that later on. We're advertising on the search network and search partners, not the display network. UK as a country, language, no audiences, which keywords, which ad, which budget, boom, we're happy. We can go ahead and publish that campaign. Now, whenever you click publish on a campaign, it's going to take a bit of time for that to be reviewed by Google, so it won't go live automatically. It doesn't usually take too long, but then once it does go live, you should start to see action pretty fast. You should be getting clicks on your ads relatively quickly, assuming, of course, there is search volume for the keywords that you've selected. If you're not getting any clicks, that's nearly always the problem. You've either gone with a too small a geographic area combined with too specific keywords. There's just basically no one within that area searching for it, or not many people. Or some other setting is set up and your campaign's just not running, like your billing's not set up properly or something like that. So once you go ahead and click publish on that campaign, Google is going to take a bit of time to review the ads before they go live. But once they do, you should start to see action coming in pretty quickly. You should be getting impressions, you should be getting clicks, and you'll be able to see that in your Google ad account. Now, most Google advertisers, when they're beginners, they're pretty excited. They're going to be in their ad account checking very frequently. Sometimes it's far too much, every 20 minutes or so. But that's a good thing. You don't want to just set this and forget this. There are things that you need to do to further improve your campaigns if you want to get the best results from Google Ad campaigns. So there are a number of videos that I mentioned going through this video on how to improve things. You can check all those out in the description below. So things like how to get the best keywords, how to write the best headlines, all those ad assets, what used to be called ad extensions in there, like site link extensions and call extensions. Go ahead and check through all those. I would strongly recommend. You also, once your campaign's gone live, need to know how to optimize a Google ad campaign. It's a huge part of succeeding with Google ads. It's not just getting it set up in the first place, but looking at the data that's generated within your Google ad account and going, oh, okay, this keyword's performing well, this ad's performing well, let's improve, let's adjust. And you can take your initial results and 4, 5, maybe even 10x them with an optimization process. I cover our exact optimization process in this video here. Strongly recommend you go and check it out. I show you exactly what to do on day 3, day 7, all the optimization tips that we've got. So check that out. I think it'll be well worth your time. And if you enjoyed this video, please go ahead and subscribe.